from this arm and hand, this hand physically observing this chief, and ox of this massive, mighty, lifted up sea, blood, head, and person, topmost rule, first possession, and inheritance, also like said, spoke, declared, commanded, and made prominent, to these, of this chief, and ox, yoked and controlled toward authority, this goal, protection, leading, and teaching, looking at life, and to behold life and breath from this massive, lifted up sea, blood, mighty of, and to this people, also like to, toward in regard to them, this one who gathered, walked and lowered shade on this pathway, heeding, to let oneself and others understand cover by this hook, connection thus connecting to this Waiha given kingdom of life, sprouting seed, and continuation, also like Gdun, this authority, staff, goal, control toward protection, this bind of leading and teaching of this chief, and ox, also like not, cannot, any but this chief, and ox of this massive, lifted up sea, blood facing this front and that therefrom divided, of this authority, goal, staff, protection, bind, leading and teaching, also like to rule, has dominion to govern, reign, only this chief and ox, heir, continue this Waiha given kingdom of life, sprouting seed, shininess, within this deed from this arm, and hand, and handiwork, to physically observe, also like not I, me, as since only this, one house, family, tent floor plan, that of this palm of hand, can tame, subdues, and allows, from this massive lifted up sea, blood lifted up over people, and only connected to this anointed tent peg, which connects to this chief, leader, strength, power, and ox, authority, staff, bind, also like not, any, only this arm, and hand, thrust, hand, deed, of this massive, lifted up sea, blood, facing this front, and only that divided therefrom of this authority, goal, staff, also like rules, has dominion to govern, reigns again, only this house, family, tent floor plan, and that inside this Waihua given kingdom of life, sprouting seed, this, and with this air, continue, this arm, and hand, thrust, hand, deed to physically observe, and handiwork of this, also like son, descendants, not my child, only this one, house, family, tent floor, plan, that of this palm of hand, subdues and allows, from this massive lifted up sea, blood lifted up over people, this arm, and hand, thrust, hand, deed, handiwork, physically observe this, and lo, and behold, life, breath, this breath of life in man, and this anointed tent peg, hook to secure, and connect, get added unto life, and breath, revealed, also like YHEH. Look from breath, life, this arm, and hand, handiwork, thrust hand, deed, this to physically observe, thrown from this, and revealed to mankind, also like occurs, comes to pass, happens, if, for whatever reason, if, when, ever, away from this, palm of hand, taming, subdued and allowed to open, bending unto this arm, hand, handiwork, thrust hand, deed, physically observing, also like indeed, or if, for whatever reason, if ever not, surely, for when, if, and for whatever reason, ever, not having an eye to see, watch, and heed, as to understand cover, and this appearance, to experience this mark, signed covenant, strong indicator of strength, and identification of people, place, and thing, also like time, now, appointed time, at which, nearing, from this massive, mighty, lifted up sea, blood, lifting up, this anointed tent peg for all with eyes to see, heed, and understand, this tent door, pathway hung low, also like meeting, assembly, signal, when this palm of hand further bends to curve, tame, allow strength of this chief and ox to face, moreover, frontward, divisions of this head, and person, topmost rule, first possession, inheritance, also like fitting, suitable, of breath, and life divided therefrom, and facing frontward to this authority, staff, goal, bind, leading and teaching, and anointed tent peg, all from this mighty lifted up sea, blood, also like of peace, soundness, sound, completeness, welfare, well-being, safety, prosperity, this mark, signature, and signed covenant, identification of people, place, thing, and anointed tent peg of this head, this person, top man from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession, inheritance, as well as of life and breath, to behold breath of life in man, also like law, instruction, teaching, of, and to, this authority, goal, staff, control toward protection, this sun on this horizon, day, gathering to this father inside this tent wall, also like to take, receive, acquire, buy, bring, marry, accept, if, ever, without authority, this staff, goal, bind, and control toward leadership and teaching, this chief, and ox, also like know, not, to hold, grab on to this shield, pierced with this thorn, within this hand of staff, this support, established, this establishment of this family house, in this tent floor plan of authority, goal, staff for protection, binding, leading, and teaching, also like bear, carry, endure, and, as to remain offspring of this given kingdom of life, heir, to perpetuate, divided from, and facing this front, chief, and ox, also like to lift, lifting, carry, take, forgive, make a rising, if and whenever, for whatever reason, not connected, connecting to this anointed tent peg, fixed, added, if ever, whenever then, instead of this palm of hand, tamed and allowed, if they ever do, they can curve, then if ever, away from life, breath, and this breath of life revealed in men, this family house, and tent floor, plan, if ever not one with an eye to see, watch, heed, and understand cover of this appearance, and this authority, also like lord, master, owner, husband, if ever not to this mark, signed covenant of this chief, ox, anointed tent peg, hook to secure and connect to life, breath, as well as breath and life itself, also like desire, longing, as if anything, ever, aside this palm of hand, which subdues, tames, can allow from this mighty, lifted up sea, blood, and blood of this anointed tent peg to bend, tame and open, also like as if ever, for whatever reason, not of, from this authority, bind, goal, staff, protection, having an eye to see, experiencing cover, desiring this, and on trail of this massive lifted up sea, blood, then in chaos tumult of many, also like might, numerousness, and if ever not to this authority, staff, goal, control toward protection, desiring and on trail of this family, family house, tent floor plan of this head, and person, top man, first possession, and inheritance, also like host, army, service, if not of authority, staff, bind, family, family house, tent floor plan of this head, and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, sun to this sun on this horizon which gathered this line as day to this father, family, house and tent floor plan by and through this anointed tent peg, man on and of his side, who went on this trail, desired, had snares laid for him, and for you, to desire, also like gathering, collecting, assembly, if ever, not this arm, hand, thrust, handiwork, deed, top man, head and person, topmost rule, chief and ox, also like instruct, teaching, teach, direct, cast, pour, this or not authority, goal, protection, staff and bind, to control toward, lead to, and teach of, this family house inside this tent floor plan by this tent door hung low and pathway, also like learn, instruct, goad, and if ever not to this authority, staff, goal, bind, leading and teaching, and this carrying camel to carry, gather, walking to this head, and person, topmost rule, first possession, and inheritance through this tent door and pathway, also like scratch, if ever not this authority, protection, bind, having an eye to see, heeding to experience cover, understanding, this sun on this horizon, and this line, like day, to this father, by and through this man on his side, on trail, also like cutting, extremity, divided from this front, pressed therefrom, sharpened by, and split from, this massive lifted up water, blood, this anointed tent peg, with an eye to see, heeding to experience cover, and connect to life, and this breath of life in man, also like report, news, tidings, fame, something heard, and, if ever not connected to this anointed tent peg, fixed, from and to this massive, lifted up sea, blood and blood of this air, given, this kingdom of life, sons, and continuation, also like from, out of, by, since, with an eye to see, experiencing, watching, and heeding, understanding cover, this appearance of it, of authority, and this staff to this goal, protection, this bind and control toward leadership and teaching, also like on, upon, over, beside, concerning, because of, by, this, life, breath of life revealed in man, this chief, and ox of this mighty, lifted up sea, blood and mark, signed covenant, strength, and identification of people, place, thing, also like truth, faithfulness, reliability, firmness, certainty, trustworthiness,